It's the bottom of the 8th inning in a tie game in NLCS Game 1. Here, Joe Blanton, our protagonist, enters the pitch. You probably know Joe as the pitcher to last homer in the World Series, but you probably don't remember him as one of the key relievers for the 2016 Dodgers, appearing in the most games of any Dodger pitcher. Enough with that, let's get to what matters. You might know how this game ends, but unfortunately for Joe here, it's not going to be good. Joe starts off facing the 4-hitter, Ben Zobrist. Zobrist is a switch hitter and as such elects to bat left-handed against Joe. On a 1-1 count, Zobrist is able to sit on this changeup and line it into the gap. Then, though Jock Peterson does a great job of cutting this off, Zobrist, being an above-average base runner in 2016, is able to take second. Bad situation for Blanton now, as Chicago doesn't even need to get another hit to plate the go-ahead run. Luckily for Joe, he's got his money pitch, his slider. He throws it many times and is able to get the right-handed Addison Russell to ground out without moving Zobrist up. Big out. Now the Cubs actually do need a hit. In steps Jason Hayward. And here's our big moment. Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, has a lot to be thinking about right now. His goal is to win the game, obviously, but in a tie game, he has to find a way to plate one of his own runs in an inning. And though his team is pitching right now, he still has to find a way to plate a run. And because of that, he's eyeing that person down in that 9 slot right there, Aroldis Chapman. The longer Chapman stays in the game, the worse it is for the Dodgers to score runs. Chapman, being one of the fastest pitchers of all time, is almost impossible. Adrian Gonzalez, the veteran first baseman, might be one of the only Dodgers players you could believe to take him on. But he's a while from coming up again, meaning this is getting very problematic for the Dodger offense. You see, the Dodgers are all in on platooning, playing the lefty-righty matches. Against the left-handed starter John Lester, the Dodgers put in all the righty batters. A surprisingly low amount considering there are more right-handed people than left-handed people in this world. After right-handed relievers came in, Dodgers pulled 3 of his left-handed starters, leaving only 2 righties in the order, Justin Turner and Kike Hernandez. Except the fact that Turner runs reverse splits, meaning he's actually better against hitting righties than lefties. And Kike Hernandez is having a pretty horrible season. Now, the lefty Chapman basically has an advantage on every single batter in the lineup, except maybe Yasmani Grandal. As long as Chapman is in the game, this offense is likely going to be held at bay. So, Roberts decides he needs to get Chapman out of this game. If the Dodgers can get his batting spot up in the lineup, he has to be taken out. Only 3 hitters to get through. Roberts decides to pick and choose his battles. And unfortunately, this is where I think things go wrong. Jason Hayward is a left-handed batter. With Blanton being the righty, it seems like Hayward has the advantage here. But taking a look at Blanton's career stats versus righties and lefties, there's barely a difference. This season, however, Blanton's changed his pitching style. Being an old veteran, he's had to find a way to adapt, and that led to him relying on his slider more this season. Her walk rate versus lefties for Blanton, which might signal that he might have an issue versus left-handed batters. We'll touch on this later. However, the stats don't want Joe to walk Hayward. With a runner on second, Joe is an elite pitcher, but when you put a runner on first and second, Joe is not having a good time. There's a huge difference there. And Hayward's also struggled this year, so it's kind of perplexing when they decide to intentionally walk Hayward. I think Roberts is blinded by one thing here, and it's starting to make him make some questionable decisions. Some of y'all are thinking about the double play, get the double play and get out of there. It's not a bad idea, but with Javi Baez, one of the hottest and fastest Cubs batters coming up, the decision is questionable. But Blanton, to his credit, is able to spin his slider and get Baez to fly out. So far, Blanton hasn't made any mistakes. At least for now. Alright, okay, here we go. David Ross has had a pretty solid season hitting left-handed pitchers, but against right-handed pitchers, he's been not great, especially with getting base hits. Blanton should have a good time getting this out. Wait. That's not David Ross. Oh no! Out of the people Blanton does not want to see right now. Coughlin has an OPS above 1,000 against Blanton in 20 at-bats. Coughlin is looking very scary, and not only that, he's a left-handed batter that Roberts clearly doesn't like to pitch to. With Chapman on deck, Roberts decides to just skip Coughlin, and by doing so, he achieves his goal of getting Chapman out of the game. In steps the lefty Montero now, in place of Chapman. I think something starts to go wrong for Blanton here. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's surprised to see the injured, mostly unutilized third catcher step up to face him in a clutch situation. Maybe he's glad that Chapman is gone. Maybe he thinks this is a ploy so that he can be taken out of the game for the Dodgers lefty, and then the Cubs would bring in Wilson Contreras to bat against the lefty. Or maybe Blanton isn't very comfortable pitching to the lefty Montero. Blanton's just skipped the last two left-handed batters. Pitching to a lefty Zobrist was the better option because Zobrist is just better against lefties. You've seen Blanton's lefty-righty splits. From the other postseason appearances I've seen about Blanton pitching to lefties, he pitched mostly changeups to Wilmer Defoe, and when Clint Robinson didn't bite on his changeups, he just hit him with the slider. Stephen Drew saw every pitch, while Espinosa only saw sliders, then changed it up on him and went with the fastball. Lobaton, being another catcher just like Montero, is probably the most similar hitter, but Blanton only threw his curve there. Conclusion? Absolutely nothing. Against righties, Blanton is able to utilize his low and outside sliders with the occasional curveball and the extremely rare fastball, keeping everything low. Right, here we go, Blanton. I know you got this. That one was high and didn't really break. Alright, here we go. You already got a strike. That one was right down the middle. Come on, Blanton. Only one more strike. Come on, just spin that slider. Come on. No.